Characters with movement abilities in Genshin are probably some of my favorite ones. It's one of the reasons why Yelan never leaves my world exploration team whatsoever. And with the release of 5.0 and Natlan, we're going to see a lot more of these characters that have elemental skills that sort of double as transportation modes or vehicles. Some of them are actually just straight up vehicles. Kachina and Mualani are the two new characters that just came out that are going to have this as part of their kit. We're going to see more of these characters in the future, and one of them I'm really kind of waiting for because you can run up walls and she's going to be a geo goddess of sorts. She's going to be like really meta breaking. Maybe one of the most meta geo characters Genshin Impact has ever seen. These are some of the most interesting characters we've ever been able to have access to in Genshin Impact. And in case you're kind of confused by the giant sort of wall of text that you're going to be seeing as part of one of their passives as to how these transportation modes actually work, I'm going to break that down for you today, make it kind of razor languaged for you so you really get an understanding of it, and you're going to see my first reactions to being able to playtest these characters and the ways that they work in the open world is just kind of fantastic. Some of the most fun I think I've ever had, and if you want to, compare them to earlier characters in Genshin Impact, you might say maybe a little bit busted. If you remember when you played back in 1.0, if you had access to Venti, you felt like you broke the game because you could do like a little whirlwind dash up in the air and float, like an extra 6 feet up in the air. You felt like you broke the game. These characters are going to make that look like child's play, and they're also going to be pretty good as well. That's not to say you should feel like you should be pressured into using your precious resources with any other free-to-play or gacha mobile game. You see a new mechanic, you kind of want to experience it. You don't want to miss out on getting the surfboard of Mualani or the little drill sergeant wall climber that Kachina has. Don't worry, you're going to have access to more characters in Genshin Impact 5.0 because they're really cool, but don't worry, there's going to be more characters in the new region of Natlan that are going to simulate these sort of mechanics, this sort of passive, the transportation mode. Now, these characters are some of my most entertaining to play with, and some of my favorite characters I've actually seen in Genshin Impact, and we're going to explain it for you here. Now, Mualani's going to have an elemental skill and ride that surfboard that I love so much. Now, there's going to be 2 different gauges that you're going to use on these Natlan characters. The first gauge, that blue gauge on the side of the character that you saw as we were riding around, that is going to be the Nightsoul Point gauge. These different Natlan characters are going to have ways to increase that Nightsoul gauge. For example, we have the heat resistant, a freshwater floater passive here that's going to allow us to generate these pufferfish and restore Nightsoul points to Mualani as you're able to increase that gauge to continuously ride that surfboard there. But what happens if you run out of your Nightsoul gauge? As you can see, we currently are at full, but once we run out, we're going to fall off our board, right? We're going to run out and we're done. But there's the second gauge, as you can see, when you're in Natlan areas, it's empty currently above my HP bar, and this is the Phlogiston gauge. Now, the Phlogiston gauge is going to be showcased in a lot of the extra passives, the ones that were used to be seen on other characters that help you craft extra materials or allow you to see different things, wildlife, ones that you usually just sort of write off as, oh, it's cool, right? We can get some extra fish. For these Natlan characters, though, we're going to have a couple extra passives here, such as the trick is to keep smiling, which is going to allow you to increase that phlogiston meter by doing certain things. For example, this one here is going to allow you to gain 15 phlogiston when interacting with harvestable items. And we have the Night Realms, a gift, which is going to allow you to gain some Nightsoul points for being in the water. This is going to allow you to explore Natlan region a little bit more quickly and in a more interactable way than it is to just be sprinting across the map. So we can see this here. If we have empty gauge, we'll just run over and get this thing right here. This is going to give us some extra Phlogiston meter, and we're able to go ahead and ride the board. We'll use our Nightsoul meter first, and once our Nightsoul meter runs out, we'll start draining the red gauge there at the bottom, which is going to be our Phlogiston meter. And then once that's gone, we're going to get kicked off our board, sadly, and it's going to be a little bit of a sad time. But this is a perfect example of how we could also utilize some characters' passives like Mualani, which is the second to last passive here, which is while you're swimming or sprinting or doing certain movements. This is going to be different for different characters in Natlan. You're able to gain Nightsoul points for free and utilize her ability to help you traverse the worlds for free. So for example, we just swap onto Sucrose here, jump in the water and start swimming. We can just swap to Mualani and it's going to put us right there on our board automatically for us. We can just go ahead and ride it out. We're done there, but because we didn't use our elemental skill, we can go ahead and get back on it and start riding again. Now, I really like this Nightsoul Phlogiston meter system. Do keep in mind, though, that this really only works for you in different regions of a Natlan. So if you're trying to go and use these Natlan characters in old areas such as Sumeru or Dragonspine, Mondstadt, Leeway, anything like that, they're not going to have the full potential of mobility as they do in the new region of Natlan. So that's something to keep in mind if you're looking at utilizing someone like Yelan, who's super fun and fast and allows you to sprint around compared to some of these newer characters. However, unlike some of our old favorites like Yelan that allows us to dash around the world really fast, Mualani and other Natlan characters are going to have unique characteristics that help you traverse the world in unique ways. You don't have to be told by now, but Mualani's is, the ability to go ahead and ride her surfboard on water quite fast for extended periods of time. We saw this similarly with someone like Farina recently, but now instead of just walking across the water, we can go right on ahead and use Mualani to run across the water at very fast speeds. And this is really cool. I really like these sort of unique gameplay mechanics of these Natlan characters so far, because there's one side of Genshin Impact, which is the combat, doing the unique Hyper Bloom, burgeoning teams out there, whatever sort of meta stuff you want to put together. That's one facet of the gameplay, and it's one that I highly enjoy, building strong teams. The other one, though, is a very big part of Genshin, which is the world exploration, which is something I'm going to be very excited to see how these new Natlan characters are going to help shake it up, make that experience just a little bit more enjoyable in the future. I have a favorite one coming down the line. You might have heard about her already if you have had some dreams yourself about future characters coming down the pipeline. New Geocat girl is pretty awesome, and hers is going to allow you to sort of sprint really fast and run up walls as well. And speaking of running up walls and climbing different structures, we have another Natlan character you guys can get for free right now in the form of Kachina. And these abilities are pretty flexible. We just showcased how you're able to generate Nightsoul Points for free while swimming, but you can also do certain things that are very simple, like jumping and swapping into Mualani as well. So if you just swap right into her, we can go ahead, we'll get a little bit of free points, and we can activate her skill to extend it, as you can see there, generate some Phlogiston meter points, and then just keep going. This is one of my favorite things to do in this game. And as you run out, you're good to go. Paimon yells at us, it's fine to swap back, jump in the water, into Mualani we go. And if we time it right, we'll be able to extend it so we don't fall back into the water once again. We're almost out of points. Boom. Ready to rock and roll one more time. I love this mechanic in Natlan. It allows you to explore the world in very fun ways. Swap off a Sucrose, do a little dive. Boom. Good to go again. We'll just keep going in here. Maybe we'll build up some extra meter for us here. Summon some of our sharks. Get a little pufferfish there. Boom. Rocking and rolling. Rolling out, Phlogiston meter, here we go. Running and 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 running. We'll just keep going. Meters out, it's okay. Up sucrose, jump, swap back, rocket and rolling again. Here we go. Meters almost out. Use the skill, refresh it, jump up, get some things. This is fun. I really enjoy this. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with these Natlan characters utilizing the Phlogiston mechanic and the ability for you to activate their travel mode to say for free, right? With jumping or swapping while jumping. It's honestly one of the most fun things I think they've added to the game for a while. It's a little sad that, yeah, it's kind of locked behind a 5-star character, but this is going to be recurring theme and mechanic for a lot of the Natlan characters. Now, Kachina's little unique elemental skill that allows her to traverse the realms of Natlan is a little bit different than Mualani's. Now, this is going to be her elemental skill, Go Turbo Twirly, which is basically a little bit of an off-the-field damage-dealing device that you can summon, but you can also choose to ride it and use it to scale buildings and other structures, usually like mountain size. You just walk up and you can jump on it, and you're able to just use it to climb. Get up in there and go. Now, this one's not as fun, in my opinion, as Mualani's is, and you can see that it uses the same Phlogiston style mechanic that Mualani did indeed use. If I jump off of it, because the elemental skill duration's over, my little pet's gonna disappear too. But with Kachina, you can also just summon it and let it kind of do damage for you while you swap to other characters and use them. or you can choose to jump on it as well, and it'll start using your Nightsoul meter and then your Phlogiston meter, just like Mualani did. So if you're worried that you're going to miss out on these characters that just launched in 5.0, don't worry, there's going to be more characters releasing in other patches in the Natlan region. They're going to have sort of similar traversal mechanics, so to speak. And if you're interested in seeing more information on the new character launching in 5.1 that I'm looking forward to, the Geo main, the Geo meta, as it is to speak, check out that video. It's going to be coming out in the next couple of days. So hit that sub button so you can see it when it's released. Until then, guys, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.